everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are really excited today. We have a very special guest. We have our most frequent visitor, I guess you might say, to our podcast. We have Catherine Disher is here, and I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. And Catherine, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You are our first guest, 5-timer. You've been on the show.
I've never been anyone's most frequent guest. I'm touched and thrilled. Thank you so much for having me again.
Well, thank you for continuing to support the podcast. We really appreciate it.
I guess my gift is in the mail.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Oh, okay. My 5-time gift. Okay.
Yes. your special Hallmarkies jacket. So how have you been? We haven't talked to you since last fall, which seems like an eternity ago.
Oh my goodness, doesn't it just? The world has changed.
Yes. And so how have you, how were your holidays, first of all? Go back to there.
My Christmas holidays, you mean?
Yes.
Funnily enough, my son and I both got terrible, I'm assuming it's flu, on Christmas Day, and we were sick for 6 weeks. Yeah, so we kind of spent January and a good deal of February just recovering, and then all of a sudden, the world got sick. So
yes,
I don't think I've probably been out of the house, less than 20 times. No, that's kind of an exaggeration, but I sort of feel like I was just starting to get out of the house again when we were all asked to stay in the house. So it's been a weird few months.
Oh my gosh, it has so much. And I thought that it was going to be pretty easy for me because I already work from home. And I was a little bit cocky going into this, like, oh, it'll be fine. But I realized pretty quickly how much the social interactions that I did have really did mean a lot to me.
Oh, for sure. I know exactly what you mean. I sort of tell people that, if it weren't for the terrifying prospect of dying a lonely death from an invisible microbe, this would be right up my alley, because staying in my house, hiding in my house is what I do best. Especially, if you work, really intensively for 6 months, then I find myself just kind of hiding away. But even I, as like you, even I am getting really tired of this.
Yeah. It's I feel like it's kind of like I used to drive all the time from where I'm in Utah to where my parents used to live in California. And if you started early enough so that you got to California before dinner, it felt like a pretty easy trip. But if you started late and you ended up past dinner, the trip felt so much longer. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening. Like once we get into summer, I feel like it's just like, it's that post-dinner drive.
Yes.
It feels so long.
I know, and it's much harder, but it's being asked, on a more serious note, being asked to stay home is kind of, if that's the least that someone is asking me to do, to help in this regard, I am only too willing to stay at home for as long as necessary. I would rather stay home an extra 2 months and save some lives and save, some frontline workers their health than be able to go out and go to a restaurant for dinner 2 months earlier. As long as I can take my dog for a walk and he finds a way to have fun no matter what, then we're good.
Yeah, and getting an occasional takeout, you make it. We make it work. I think it is especially challenging for those of us that are single, that are kind of, quarantining by ourselves. It's tough, but luckily we have so many ways to, communicate these days, that it helps a lot.
That's true. That is true. It is very true for people who are having to do this, by themselves. On the other hand, doing it with other people presents a whole new set of frustrations. Um, so I'll just leave it
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So have you done any like crafting or any like
Oh,
anything to keep yourself done any puzzles or anything like that?
I am the least craftiest person you are ever going to find. When my son was young, the old macaroni art was the most terrifying thing I've ever had to do. So, no, I don't, but I do. Like I said, we spent a few weeks. My son also does voice work. And in fact, he just did a commercial last Friday in my bedroom, with our setup. So we spent a couple of weeks getting this home studio set up. So I
Yeah.
hope it sounds better than me screeching into my iPhone. Otherwise, all will have been for nothing. And so that, we've been doing a little of that. And I've been doing a lot of cooking, of course. And it's, not hard to do when you have 2 months of food stockpiled in your family room. And so I've been doing a lot of that. And,
Yeah.
the dog and the cats are sort of a constant amusement. And I've been watching, I've been sort of catching up and binge watching a lot of really excellent television.
Yeah. So what have you been cooking? What's some of your
Oh, well, we did a lamb curry the other night,
mm,
which was delicious, and I have been trying to bake the perfect cornbread. I know that sounds like a
mm,
simple thing, but and just cooking in general a lot more. I made an
yeah.
amazing roast beef. There's a wonderful sort of
Mm,
purveyor near me that gets all their meats from the Mennonite farms around here.
mm.
So that's really, I've been trying to stay away from the baking thing because, of course, a dangerous thing to do when you're trapped inside.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have do you aspire to have the ultimate spice cabinet of Martha that she had
Oh,
in the
I
recent episode?
forgot about that. Um,
Yeah.
it's funny. I cleaned out just before all this happened. I thought, you know what? I've had some of these herbs in here and spices for years, and I finally went, oh my God, they have expiration dates. And
Yeah.
so I ended up throwing them all out. And then being stuck with trying desperately to, restock during a pandemic. Finding a
Yeah.
store, that delivered that, oh, has allspice. Oh my gosh, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. She had under lock and key her spice
Yes,
cabinet.
it's true.
Yeah. That's funny. So what have you been binging? We got to ask that.
Well, I've been binging. What have I been binging? I've been binging a show called The Expanse, which is actually shot up
Uh-huh.
here in Toronto. It's an Amazon sci-fi show. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been binging Fauda, which is an Israeli show. Um, and what else have I been binging? Isn't it funny? It's like when you used to go to the video store and you knew what you wanted and you walked in and then you couldn't remember, you couldn't find anything. And when people
Mm-hmm.
ask me what I'm watching or tell me what they're watching, and I think, oh, I really have to watch, if I don't write it down,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know what's going on. I think it's pandemic brain because I don't think it's
Yeah.
age related because a lot of other people have been telling me the same thing that they can't remember things.
Yeah. Well, I've said quarantine brain. It like
Yes.
I'm not fully responsible for my actions here.
Yes, or what I say.
Yeah.
Why, have you been binge watching things too? What have you
Well,
been?
I a little bit. I tell you, the McMillions or McMillions on HBO. Yeah, you should watch it. It is so good.
I
It's a
don't know
docu.
that show. I've
Yeah,
never heard of it.
it's a docu-series about this kind of this scam to steal from the McDonald's Monopoly game in the like
Oh,
late 90s, early 2000s.
I
It was
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, there's this they have there's just this crazy group of eclectic characters that were all involved in this thing. And then the agent investigating it is so made for television. He was so entertaining. I I think that we need, his name is Doug Matthews. I'm like, we need a Agent Doug Matthews show, like a Dateline, kind of show, because he's so crazy and entertaining. And I just loved it. And it's nice because there's really, it's like a victimless crime. Like, there's nobody, I mean, because McDonald's was giving the money away anyway, and they found a way to steal it. And I'm not excusing that, but it's not, some of those kind of shows are kind of hard to watch because you're watching these people's lives get ruined, but nobody's life is ruined in this. It's just, they just got this money. And anyway, it was so good. I loved it.
Well, that's a good recommendation. I will. And when you talk about victimless crimes, that's the reason I know everyone was watching Tiger King. I just couldn't bring myself to watch it because I don't, seeing animals sort of capture in captivity and abused. It's just, I thought, I'm feeling kind of in captivity and abused myself, but also I can't watch. I thought it would be, I didn't think it would be, help my state of mind.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
I felt the same way. I haven't watched it yet. And
well, we're the only two people on the planet who
haven't.
I know, so.
I think so. I also have really been enjoying it's called The Last Dance. Because ESPN, their 30 for 30 shows, even if you don't like sports, they're such well done documentaries, very fascinating. And they've been doing The Last Dance about the final season of the Jordan Bulls.
This is the one that's airing on Sunday nights opposite The Good Witch, is it not?
Yeah, I have it on my DVR, but I think you're right. Yes. And I've really been enjoying it. It's extremely well done. And if you haven't watched any of the 30 for 30, there's such good documentaries, and this is really, really good. And it's kind of nice. I mean, I'm not a very big sports person, but like having sports be eliminated, it's kind of like nice to watch this and be like, okay.
It's funny. You're not the first woman to tell me about this, about an NBA, being obsessed by an NBA documentary. And I was a bit worried because they moved, I guess it airs directly opposite The Good Witch on Sunday nights. No. And, I was like, whoa, this will be great because people will be home and they've been home for a while, so they probably watched all the content that's already on, and everyone will be really, eager for a new show and new episodes. And then I heard that, it's airing opposite. Oh, no. I thought, no, but I think, this weekend is the last episode of The Last Dance?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, well,
so that's good.
Yes. I just hope everyone's, PVRing The Good Witch.
Yeah. Don't worry. At least I am. That's for sure.
Oh, good. So, okay.
Yeah. Is it a bit surreal I know you guys filmed this season a bit ago. And so now to watch it being aired during a pandemic, during the quarantine, like, is it a little bit surreal?
Well, it hasn't aired yet. It hasn't started airing yet in Canada.
Okay.
I don't think. Okay, I'm having a moment here. I don't think it has. So I've been actually, the show very kindly has been sending me some links so I can watch it. Uh-huh. But yeah, it is odd. It wasn't that long ago. I've done shows where you do them and then they don't air for a year and you don't even remember, oh, really? Is that me? Did I do that? So we ended in December. So it doesn't feel like, oddly enough, time, although you'd think it was, stretching out, it feels like yesterday. Honestly, maybe it's because I haven't done anything much for, 2 or 3 months, but it really feels like yesterday. And we have a group chat, the cast, that we've been, chatting back and forth about stuff. So it's really nice to keep in touch.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they used to, when I was on my mission for my church, they used to say that the days drag, the weeks fly by. I feel like that's kind of.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy. That's true. And when you do sort of 17-hour days for 4 or 5 months in a row, and by the end you're just thinking, oh my god, this is torture. I just, and then 2 weeks later you sit back and go, oh, I really miss all those guys. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of at that stage. That was really fun. I've totally forgotten getting up at 3 in the morning and getting home at 10:30 at night,
No.
and so that's a good thing. It's like childbirth. You forget, and then I guess you have another. I never had another, but I can understand why there has to be a couple of years in between.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day that the I've been able to cover the D23 convention for the last two, and they're every 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's a fun experience, but it's also a grueling experience. The lines are just phenomenal for everything, and it is an intense experience.
Wait,
It's fun.
what is the D23 convention?
D23, it's the Disney, basically Comic-Con. Kind of, they do it
Oh.
every 2 years. And so last year was D23, and you leave it and you're just like, I'm never going to do that again. It's so exhausting. And but I think that's why they have it every 2 years. And I don't know, I was just thinking about it the other day because I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever do that again, if they'll ever have it again. How
Well,
can
what
you
it
do
was
something like, I mean, luckily it's not this year. It won't, it's not supposed to be until next year. But even then, it's just like, how are they gonna do events like that? I can't think of a more worse situation these than something like D23. For if there was anybody who was remotely sick, it would be a disaster. But
Well, on the other hand, they probably, wearing a mask would probably be very apropos for something like that. So
yeah, yeah,
I,
it's true. I mean, you can work it into your costume quite
yes,
easily.
exactly. But you know what? I think all these things, that we can't imagine right now will come to pass again. I
Yeah,
really do. And I think at the very beginning of being locked down, it felt like, oh, this will be over really quickly. And as the weeks went by and the news got worse, and you start to think, huh,
yeah,
okay, how will this ever happen again? But I really think it will. I just think it's going to take a while, and we have to be patient. And
yeah,
that's the hardest part. But yeah,
yeah.
so where do they have this D23 convention in California?
Yes, yeah. So they have it at in Anaheim at
Uh-huh.
at the Anaheim Convention Center, which is just off of Disneyland, and it's too small a location, honestly, for the event, and so you wait forever for every. I mean, it's just like when you go, you just have to accept going into it that literally you wait in a line for everything.
Oh.
I mean, including the bathroom. I mean, you wait in line for everything, and that's just so you just kind of have to make it fun and just make it part of the thing. And it is an intense experience. It's a really fun experience, but you just leave it thinking, am I ever gonna, like, that was so exhausting. And but I don't know, I was just thinking about it this last week or so, just that with a certain degree of sort of uh nostalgia, I guess, that, oh, am I ever gonna get to do that again?
You
Am I ever
will. I'm
gonna
sure you will, and you'll be so excited.
oh
Rather
my
you'll be like
gosh, I will.
you'll have forgotten everything. Oh, I don't care about the lineups. It's just so great to
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's they do it every 2 years, and the best part about it is they have these sort of concert events that so this last time they had this tribute to Aladdin, where they had all the vocal performers and the animators and the director and everything there, and nobody can put on a show like Disney. I mean, it's amazing. And then they did one for Little Mermaid, which was incredible because it's one of my favorite movies. And
So it's
and
all
then they
Disney stuff then. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
Disney stuff?
it's all
Yeah.
Disney D23. Yeah. And they have the big hall that has the big announcements as far as their upcoming slate, and that's exciting. But I think my favorite is these sort of concert events. one year they had Alan Menken was there, and he basically like did this whole concert, playing all of his music from,
Oh, wow.
it was incredible. And it's a really great experience, but I guess there's sort of a price to pay for every experience that you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is
Anyway,
waiting in line. Yes.
in waiting in line. But it's just been, I don't know. You just sort of miss things. I mean, I was thinking about it too. I mean, I just finished covering Sundance Film Festival in January, and I'm like, and everyone gets sick at Sundance. I mean, everyone.
Oh, really?
And I'm just, yeah. I mean, if you're at least of my like critic friends, we always like the week after Sundance because you stay up too late, you watch too many things, you're in line with all these people, you
It's
eat
cold
badly,
outside. Yeah.
it's cold, all those things. You always get sick after Sundance. I'm thinking, are we gonna have Sundance again? I don't know. I just was feeling very whimsical, I guess, very just very I don't know what the word is, but yeah, it's just all these things. It's gonna be a different world. It's gonna be but you know,
It
we
is.
are
And
very resilient too.
yeah,
So we'll figure
absolutely.
out a
And
way.
people are very, and what is that saying about the mother of invention? Necessity is the
Yeah,
mother of
necessity.
invention. And
Yeah.
people are an ingenious species, and I really do feel that way. I feel though that I'm going to be incredibly grateful just to be, back standing on the Good Witch set. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. And I'd be so grateful. And it's funny to talk about being sick because all last shooting season, which is what, 5 months, I guess, a little over five
Yeah.
months maybe. And, people get sick routinely. You're in a crew, you're around 60 people every day and people in very close quarters. And, I was sort of priding myself in the fact that I did not get sick. And then generally I get exhausted, but I don't get I sometimes get sick on set. And then of course I go madly shopping. We end up December 15th and I go madly shopping for a week before Christmas and
Yeah.
always get sick. I'm
Yeah.
always sort of sick. Either it's this time it was right on Christmas night, but usually it's a day or two after, and then January is kind of just like a blur. Every year, January is just sort of a pajama clad blur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
so
think that sometimes the adrenaline like carries you through whatever it is you're doing, and then like post your body kind of relaxes and boom, you get sick. I don't know. I
it's
feel that
true.
way
I think,
sometimes.
yeah, your body knows you can't get sick. You just can't get sick. You can't stay home. You can't get sick. And there's nothing like coughing on camera, So
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting world going back to filming. I've been reading about all different parts of the world that are opening up, and I
Yeah.
believe they're filming in Iceland and in
New
Australia and
Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah, and the different parts of. I mean, New Zealand's very lucky. They're an island, an isolated island nation, and they had a leader who shut everything down,
Yeah.
and they're sort of reaping the benefits of that right now. But the filming is interesting. They're sort of everyone's got these ideas where you take the whole crew and production and you put them all in a hotel and they have to live in this hotel for the duration of the production, which is so totally not feasible, up here in North America. And
Hmm.
it's just interesting what's going to have to happen. A lot of testing and how do you socially distance when you're in a set with 60 people? So it's all these questions, but I feel like people are addressing them. It's not, they're not ignoring them. They're really thoughtfully trying to go about this. And frankly, if the Good Witch were to come back, which I, really hope it does,
Hmm.
it would be in sort of, I would guess they would aim for kind of August, September, and that's 3 months away. And in the life of
Hmm.
a pandemic, 3 months is an eternity. 3 months ago, we
Yeah.
didn't even have any cases up here.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty confident that we can make this all work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is true that it 3 months. It's gonna.
Oh,
Anything. Yeah.
think
Anything.
about it. Think where we
Yeah.
were 3 months ago. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I know you have a much bigger country. The United States is much more populous and harder to kind
Yeah.
of have a cohesive policy. But I think in the end, it's we're all going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. So in the season, you are restoring a house. It seems like
Yes. Yes.
in the season of Goodreads. And I was just curious if have you ever done anything like that? Can you relate to Martha on that level?
Yes. Well, in a way, I can relate to Martha and Love. I mean, I've renovated a couple of houses in the past, and it is a never-ending nightmare. But this house, this isn't just Martha didn't buy just a little shack. Martha bought
Right.
this huge, and it's a huge crumbling. We shot that on location in Hamilton. It's a huge crumbling, magnificent house, with sort of paint peeling out. When we're in the corridor and that paint is peeling off the walls, that is not the art department doing that. That's, Mother
Yeah.
Nature.
Right.
So they ended up sort of renovating. The production did, a couple of rooms. It's a place that I think was a convent at one point, and so it's an amazing old house. But yes, yeah, it took a long time. There's a slight, sort of whiff of mildew in the air, and with the way Martha's taste is not my own, but yes, it's a major project. And she says she's doing it for the town. It's the new mayor's residence, but
Hmm.
clearly she expects to be able to live in it for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
So,
Is this in order for her to be like firmly cemented in Middleton as opposed to being on the edge of with Blairsville?
oh, that's a good point. Well, didn't we decide that yes, that my house got put back into Blairsville? I've had a couple of houses on the show, over the years, and my favorite one, I think, what we just shot in the outside of, was this sort of, I don't know, it looked like it was maybe built in the 80s, and it had these massive kind of, Tara pillars out front, which I deeply enjoyed. But and then
Yeah.
I had a sort of a very tasteful kind of, 200-year-old stone house, which I thought was almost too tasteful for Martha. Um, and then we shot in another interior of a beautiful old house. There's some amazing houses, historic houses in Dundas where we shoot, and so that was fun. But no, this is a whole new ballgame, and I don't know what we're going to do going forward, if we're going to end up still shooting in that massive house, because it really is massive.
Are what you said that your style is different than Martha's. How so?
I think she's a little more into the kind of crystal, I'm assuming, um, I think she probably decorates her houses, like she decorates her body, with, multiple strands of too many necklaces.
Hmm.
Although, as I said, the last time when we shot before she bought the house, and we were shooting uh, we were shooting the episodes of, interior of Martha's house. It was incredibly tasteful. It was beautiful. So, maybe I take that all back. Maybe
Hmm.
Martha has better taste, better design
Yeah.
taste than I'm giving her credit for.
Like, how dare you?
I know. Everyone walked in and went, wow, this is Martha's house? I was expecting something different. And I went, uh-huh. So was I. But
Yeah.
apparently I have taste. I know.
Yeah, it's funny because the one advantage of being single and building a house, which is what I did a couple of years ago, is you get to pick out everything and you get to have it be the style that you want. And my parents have an amazing marriage, but the one thing that is a struggle is anytime they have to pick any kind of design choice for their house. It's
Oh,
a
really?
nightmare. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they will, I swear, look through wallpaper books for 6 months
Oh,
debating about what to pick. And when I went to pick out the stuff for my house, I actually brought my mom. She was in town, and I was just very like, okay, I want that carpet, I want that color, I want that. And my mom just kind of looked at me like, are you sure? Don't you need to think about it? I'm like, no, I don't need to think about it. I know what I like. and
No.
and I do like I love what I picked out, but I don't know. It's just funny when you it's just the difference. I mean, they are just so funny because my parents have very different aesthetics, the two of them, and so it's very
And it sounds
tricky.
like one of them doesn't just sort of acquiesce and let the other
No,
decide. They have to, they duke it out. You built your own
yeah,
house. That's amazing. That's
yeah.
great. That
Oh,
would be
thanks.
great to do. Yeah. I've never done
Eh.
that from the ground up.
It was it was a lot to take on at once because my it's a town I live in a townhouse and so it was my first home that I'd ever uh purchased, plus they're building it, plus I put in an income property in the basement, and so I had I had all three of those things all at the same time, but it's been a huge blessing, and I love my house. I
Oh,
really do. I know.
well,
I really do.
especially now, that's a very good thing.
Yes, and yeah, it's been a huge blessing in my life, but yeah, it's just funny people picking out stuff and how what a struggle it can be sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not good at decorating. I'm good at kind of deciding big things like the shape of a
Uh-huh.
room and the color of a wall, but curtains and rugs make me run screaming. I would rather
Yeah.
somebody just, and I actually sort of do away with rugs most of the time because I have so
Hmm.
many animals that I have some lovely Killam rugs in storage that haven't, they've been there for 20 years. And
Yeah.
every time I bring out one and think, oh, I'll just, I've got all these great rugs. I'll just do one. Literally, a cat will throw up on it within a half an hour just to kind of, make me realize once again why I have no expensive rugs on the floor.
Yeah. Like, thank you for the reminder.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm rolling this up and putting this back in storage.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so and you're going to be working with Joy, the new character, in
Yes,
renovating?
yes, she is my designer, my head designer. She's a lovely cat. It's funny, another Catherine on the show.
Yeah, I
Uh, but
know.
but but luckily, so Catherine Bell is Catherine, I'm Kathy or Dish, and Cat is Cat. So we've got it all covered. But she really fit into the group so fast and so easily. She's a lovely person.
Yeah. We had her
And
on the show, and just she was great. Really
yeah,
enjoyed her.
very enthusiastic, very positive person. And I'm sort of a natural cynic, so it's good to be around people like that.
Yeah. So in this last episode, you were upset with Stephanie about naming a sandwich after you, and it was called it the Tinsdale toast.
Oh
And this
yeah,
sandwich sounded so gross. I just wanted, like,
the
what on earth?
sauerkraut, wasn't it tuna and
Tuna,
sauerkraut?
a tuna melt with sauerkraut on it.
That's right, a Tinsdale on toast, I believe, is
On
the
toast.
title of it.
And what? I mean, of all the sandwiches to name out, I mean, to name after Martha, where did they come up with that?
I don't know.
Tuna fish with sauerkraut. What on earth?
I know. It sounds sort of it sounds way sort of too sort of European ethnic for Martha too.
I
I was
know.
thinking something with cream cheese and shrimp would be more her deal, but yeah, no, Tinsdale on toast.
It's a good thing they didn't make you try it.
Uh, yeah, no, they had a. Did they even have a mock-up? I don't even know if they
I
had a
don't think they
mock-up.
did.
No, that would have been. I was looking forward to that, seeing they
Uh-huh.
spray it with shellac and see what it looked like.
Right. And so I was curious, what if you were going to have a sandwich named after you, what would you, if you were going to have
Oh,
the the disher sandwich,
the
uh
Disher sandwich.
what it
That's a
would
good.
be?
That's a good question. We've been playing with sort of the perfect sandwich, and
Hmm.
we've come to the conclusion that just Montreal smoked meat on a bagel is probably the best.
Mm,
Oh, but
the
that's really
dish.
interesting. I'm actually I do like tuna. I have to say, I like tuna. I like chicken. There are very few
Hmm.
sandwich meats that you're sandwich concoctions I
Yeah.
don't like. Honestly, you should have sent me that question beforehand. That's
Oh,
gonna,
sorry.
that's gonna take a while. That's
We
really gonna
do.
take a while.
Yeah. Well, you let us know.
Yeah, the one I used to have, I remember in university, every day I would have a toasted bagel with cream cheese and slices of green pepper. Don't ask me why,
Mm.
but it's actually kind of an amazing combination.
Well, that sounds good. I mean, that sounds very thrifty. That'd
Yeah,
be
well, it was
for
university. There you go.
right. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, the $1.80 sandwich.
Yeah. So, so do you have other things that you think are like special about the season that may, in your mind, make it we're gonna make it very memorable?
Um, yeah.
I
Again,
mean, obviously
I
not
have
spoiler.
pandemic. Yeah, no, I have pandemic brain. Other things about the season. Well, Kat is the big addition to the show this season.
Yeah.
And so that's, I'm trying to think of only have 3 episodes aired there and the movie. Or is the third episode airing this week?
Third episode the week of this recording. But so you guys had to, this is the first full season without Grace. And
Yes.
and so how do you think they were able to work around that? I mean, it's not that Kat is a replacement for Grace,
No,
but
not at all. And
yeah.
we miss Bailey obviously a lot. She's just
Yeah.
a wonderful presence both, on the set and off. She's a lovely, lovely young woman.
Mhm.
So no, we do miss Bailey tremendously. And Kat is not a replacement, but she's a Merriwick. Yeah. So, and it's, what's amazing is watching, when when the three of them, when Catherine and Sarah Power and Kat, all their characters all go out together, they look related. They honestly do. They look
Yeah.
like they're all from the same, the same, I want to say coven, but that's not the right word. You know what I
Family
mean?
tree. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They look related. They all look like Merrowicks. It's sort of a joy to watch. So, yeah, but highlights for Martha this season. You get to see Martha play a sport, which is,
Whoa.
not something I do in real life anymore, but there you go. And not something I don't think Martha has done in a long time.
Yeah.
And I won't say which sport. But yeah, and I always look forward to the episodes where Paul Miller, who plays my husband Tom, is there.
Yeah. It was very funny him challenging you in the election. And also he had his own campaign signs and his own that to me was very funny.
I know. How dare he?
I know.
How dare he?
That made me laugh.
I know. It's sort of a real hark back to that he was the mayor, at the very beginning of the movies. So yeah, no, I know. How dare he? That was he does that a lot. It's like he was trying to get Martha's goat all season.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Anytime that Martha is irritated is always gold. That's my favorite.
And that's going to happen at least once an episode. So
yeah. All right. Well, so since you have been on our show so many times, you have done all of the questions that we have, our fun questions. And so I had to come up with a new set of questions.
Oh,
and
no!
This I'm calling
really hard. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm calling the quarantine beat questions.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So, first question. Who would you most want to Zoom chat if you could pick anybody? Over any celebrity or somebody who...
I'm actually going to... I'm not a social media person, and I sort of consider Zoom kind of social media. And honestly, I've had to download so many software things for voice recording and for talking to you. We're using another one. And when I've been, getting in touch with people that I haven't been in touch with for a long time, and at the end of sort of group emails and stuff, someone all inevitably says, we should all have a Zoom meeting. And I just want to go, no! I mean, I haven't had a haircut. I don't even say I have roots anymore. I tell people I have ends because They're just, they're no longer, you can't classify them as roots. And I'm just not, I am not into Zoom
Uh-oh.
whatsoever. So I'm very happy to have audio chats with people, but who would I want to? I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I would love to have I'd love to have a video chat with Barack Obama and just see
There
what
we
he's
go.
thinking. See what he's
Yeah.
thinking these days. A
Good answer.
private one, and
Okay.
I will assure him that I wouldn't leak it. I'd just like to
All
know what
right.
he's.
Okay, good. All right. What is your favorite song to sing in the shower?
Um, Shut up and dance with me.
Oh, good. Good one. Okay. Uh, we kind of covered it a little bit, but what do you think is the most bingeable show to watch?
Oh, I've actually been going back and watching things like The Sopranos and
Yeah.
at the moment, my favorite show, I have to say, is a show called Better Things with Pamela Adlon.
Hmm.
Uh, it's on FX, I believe, and it's about, an actress in LA who's got 3 daughters, and I can relate to her as a mother, and I can relate to her as she does voice work in real life, and so her character in the show also does voice work. And I just think it's a very sort of clever, very atmospheric show, and she's kind of doing things that feel organically good in terms of direction and writing, that she's kind of letting her freak flag fly a bit. And it's unlike any other show, and it's it sometimes it misses the mark, but for the most part it's
Hmm.
very refreshing. So at the
Cool.
moment, I went back and binge watched it from the beginning before I watched the next season, and so that was kind of fun.
That is cool. I haven't heard of that one. Okay. What's the first thing you'll do when quarantine's over? When it's done?
What's the first thing I'll do? Oh, honestly, you know what I've decided? That a lot of the things I used to do, I don't really ever need to do again. I just thought, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. Why do I need to do that? You know what? And it's also made me realize, because I haven't been shopping that much, I sort of get food delivered for the most part. And,
Yeah.
I can do without a lot of the stuff. I know that in a consumer economy, no one wants to hear that, but I actually can do without a lot of the, sort of, superfluous trips to various stores and things, because you can't, it's hard to throw anything out. You can't go to the dump yourself. So it made me realize I don't need a lot of the stuff that I used to think I needed. So what will I do?
Yeah.
I will drive. I believe I'll go and I'll, rent some country property, and because
Hmm.
we're being asked not to do that at the moment and to stay in our primary residences. And I want to be out in nature more. And I want to take my giant
Hmm.
100-pound dog and just take him somewhere where he can run for miles. That's what I want to do.
That sounds good. All right. You voiced a superhero famously. So what if you had one superpower? What would it be?
It would be to stop the construction across the street from my house.
Yeah.
That would be my superpower.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I've put on my sunglasses and my mask and gone over there a number of times and said, some of us are trying to work from home, and could you turn your radio off? No one wants to hear the radio and your construction noise at the same time. So
Like,
that would be my superpower.
could you make yourself less essential and Lee gone?
Yes. It's not, I want to say it's not really that essential. You've been working on this place for 2 years. How essential is it that you continue
Yeah.
during this time?
Right.
Yeah. So that's my superpower.
Okay. If you had to pick between Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, or Wolverine to rescue you from some kind of calamity, well, who would you pick?
Oh, Wolverine for sure. A, he's
Yeah.
Canadian. He's French Canadian, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And B, he's an X-Men. I have to be loyal to the
Yeah.
X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could gain one talent, what would you pick?
I wish that I could play the piano or the guitar and sing like my son does. He has just innate talent, and I do not have that talent, and I wish I did. Oh, wait, my superpower. I meant to say I'd make the pandemic go away. But okay, other than that, yes, stop the
Yeah,
construction across the street. Yes.
very good. Okay. What vacation do you dream of going on after you kind of talked about going to the country, but is there anything, a dream vacation that you have?
Well, yeah, ironically, we were going to go away in April, and I was going to send my dog to obedience school because he's 100 pounds, and he's a
Yeah.
lovely boy, but he has a few habits, and when a 100 pound dog pulls you away on the leash, it's, they always win, let's just say. So we were going to send him away in April when we went to Hawaii, and that would be.
Oh,
And I've never been to Hawaii. I've stopped through Hawaii on my way to Asia, but that was sort of in the middle of the night in an airport, and I just got to walk out and sniff the air. So we were going to do that, and of course that is on hold. And then finally, we couldn't stand the dog, pulling in the leash anymore, and he went away for his little vacation to obedience boot camp anyway, even though we didn't go to Hawaii. And now everything's much better.
oh, good.
But
Well,
yes, Hawaii.
hopefully you get to go. I love Hawaii so much. Well, last question. Do you have a favorite book that you
Hmm.
recommend to people?
Um, I read a book a while ago called "All the Light We Cannot See." What is it? All the light you cannot see. All the light we cannot see. Just the most beautiful book. Um, just unbelievable. I couldn't even tell you exactly why, but it was one of those books that I could not stop reading, and I was so bereft when it came to the end. But it's a beautiful book.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I've actually read this book.
have you?
It is a
Yeah.
very beautiful book. Really lovely characters. The way that it's been a while since I read it, but I remember just thinking the characters were really pure and well done.
Yeah, and it was uplifting, and it was just beautiful is the only word I can describe it. I know it sounds silly just to say it was just beautiful, but everything about it seemed beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. There you go. You've done it again. Fifth time being on our
Oh,
show. You're a star. Thank you so much for
oh,
coming
my
on. We love
pleasure.
talking with you so much.
My pleasure.
We'll have to do again post, hopefully maybe post quarantine. Let's hope
Yes,
for the best.
that would be interesting, and I maybe my brain will spring back into action. So I apologize for any gaps.
No, it's great, and we're really looking forward to the. This last episode was the chili cook-off episode,
Oh,
and
right.
we
Yes.
thought it was one of the strongest episodes in a long, long time. We really enjoyed it, so we're
Oh,
looking forward
good.
to this rest of the season, and so something fun to look forward to every Sunday. So thank
Yes,
you
and
so much.
thank you, and stay safe.
And we'll do you as well. And yeah, we will have you on again. You will continue to be our rake the records.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.